Sandy and I blog at A Fresh Squeeze Life, and this is month 3 of our Maker's Year series, and I'm super excited about this one because we're going to be working with wood. We are going to make a box like this. It's basically like a tray that you would put on your coffee table and put just some cute items in. It creates a little vignette, just a little space for some cute things. And so this is a fun project. It's a good beginner project. And I'm gonna give you some safety tips, and so if you've never worked with power tools, I'm gonna ask you to watch that part of the video. Otherwise, you can skip over it. We're also gonna have a supply list, which will show up on this video, as well as a download. So let's go ahead and, like I said, please watch the safety tips. If you have never worked with wood tools, something that you plug in and cut wood, that's what I'm talking about. If you've never done that, please watch my safety tips, and let's get to making. Okay, let's talk safety tips. I'm going to tell you, if my kids watch this video, they would be laughing at me because I am totally the type of person that I want you to have fun, I want you to try new things, but I also want you to be safe. So they would be like, yes, of course, Mom is giving a safety lecture. So anyway, there's just some things that when you're working with wood, it's very fun. I love doing it, but I will say, just as a fact, you can definitely hurt yourself on a table saw or a chop saw, so I want you to be careful. My first tip, and I have a list, is eye protection. I even sand when I have my eye protection on. You don't want to lose an eye. You can be using your table saw and something can splinter and it can just send out a piece of wood. You want your eyes protected, definitely. I do it every single time, and I encourage you to also. My second safety tip, I'm not necessarily going to get into the ins and outs of using specific tools because you can, usually a handbook comes with your tool, and so you can look in there. There's different safety things on the different saws and nail guns and stuff like that. So I'm going to let you research that. But what I do want to say, what is so important, is you need to always know where your hand is in relation to the wood and the saw blade. So I am always very slow and fairly meticulous about measuring because I just want to make sure that, like on the chop saw, when I bring it down, that my hand is not in a funky place that maybe I'm not noticing. So I'm always very aware of that, and I want you to be very aware of that too. Like I said, just be slow. Please do not do this while you're in a hurry, because when you're in a hurry is when you're going to make mistakes. So my next thing to say is I wouldn't do this if you have small kids. I would definitely wait till nap time or when Dad is home so he can take care of them, just in case they get in the way or put a little hand up where you are or try to play with what you're doing. I just suggest that you wait until later. And oh, my last one I already said is no rushing. And I do want to tell you just like a fun little fact about this that actually happened yesterday, and this is why you always need to be fairly thoughtful about what you're doing. Yesterday I was working on one of these tray boxes, but I was also making a picture for a friend who's having a baby. And so what I did is I came into my kitchen and I put down the picture I was making to nail the picture to the frame. And so I went ahead and started doing that. And what I always do when I'm doing a picture is I just make sure that the nails aren't coming through the front. And so I did that after I did the first couple nails. And what happened is, because I was making these boxes, I hadn't changed out my nails, and I use much shorter nails for the picture. And so I actually, like, literally nailed the picture frame to my kitchen table. I had the nails about an inch into my kitchen table that I made a while ago. So that's just a little funny thing, and you just have to be careful. Always check what you're doing. Always make sure your hands are safe, and always make sure that you have the right size nails in your nail gun. So let's get on to our project, and I'm not sure what else to say, so I'm just gonna end it here. Okay, I have the box kind of loosely set up here on the table, just so you can kind of see what we're going for. We have our 1x4s laid out, and the 1x3s are our sides. So what we want to do is to have our finished nailer. I have this, and I have 1 1/4 inch 18 gauge nails in my nailer. So what I'm wanting to do is I'm going to go ahead and take apart this little setup. I'm going to move these out of the way. Now, the first thing that we're going to do is basically assemble our box. Okay. All right, a couple things. You want to be very careful where you put your hands, your fingers, because this can go right through your skin, right through your finger. It does have a safety feature where you do have to push down on it in order to make it do its thing. So you can't just sit here and pull the trigger and punch out nails. So what I'm wanting you to think of is, on each side, we want to get 3 nails. 1, 2, 3. So what I'm going to start with is I'm going to do my middle nail. Okay, and so I'm going to line up my sides just like this, kind of feel them, make sure they're feeling good. And then I'm going to want to hold my nailer in such a way where it's not going to reach my fingers. There's no way this nail can reach my fingers. So there's number 1. Now when I do number 2, I'm going to do the top one, but I'm going to have my hands out here, and I'm actually going to try and put the nail in just a little bit at a down angle, not much. And the bottom one, I'm going to put it at a bit of an up angle, and that just grabs everything very nicely. So I'm going to go ahead and turn off the video, but what I want you to do is to assemble your full box. When I put this little puzzle together, okay, you're going to put 1, 2, 3 nails, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I think you get the picture, and once you're done and I'm done, we'll be back. Okay, now we have the outside of our box assembled. What I want you to do now is to take your bottom pieces and arrange them in a way that you like, and try to make the ends as flush as you can. A lot of this will come out in sanding, so if you feel like there's a little bit of wood sticking out that you're not liking, you can even it up while we sand. So now what we're going to do is you're going to want to nail all around the edges, all 4 sides. And I'm going to put 2 nails in each of these boards on each side, and then I'm going to put 4 nails on each long end. And that way this is going to hold together very nicely. I'm just going to do the first couple. Okay, I'm not going to make you watch me all the way around, but basically I'm just going to do that all the way around. 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, and then 4 and 4. And that's going to hold very nicely. I'll see you in a minute when you're done getting your box together. Okay, now that you have your box fully assembled, you're going to feel around and you're going to find just the wood sticks out a little bit in certain areas, and I like to have mine fairly smooth. So I'm going to use an orbital sander, and I have a coarse sandpaper attached. It's a 120, so it's a pretty coarse one. So it's going to take a lot of these rough edges off of my box. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go outside. You're going to go outside also with your box and your sander, and you're just going to spend some time sanding. It's not going to take a long time because, like I said, use a coarse sandpaper. It does it very quickly, and you'll find the outside of your box feels very smooth when you're done. Okay, so now we have our box. It's been sanded and nailed together. So what we're going to do first is stain it. This is actually where you can get creative. You do not have to do the staining part. If you want to just paint, that's completely fine, but I'm going for a little bit of a distressed look, so I'm going to stain. So what I like to use is a piece of an old t-shirt. This is like a, I don't know, like a 6x6 square. And then I have my stain. I like to use Minwax or Rust-Oleum, and I'm going with ebony because I want a nice dark undercoat. So what I'm going to do, I buy these gloves at Walmart for like $1.50. This is my old pair right here. These have probably been used 15 times. So this is a new pair. I'm just showing you that you can buy something really inexpensive to protect your hands and just keep using it over and over. So I'm going to turn the box upside down, and I'm going to start on the bottom part, or on the underneath part. Oops. Okay. All right. I'm actually going to get a different stain because that's a little bit too light for me. So I'm going to go ahead and turn off the video. I'm just going to go with a darker stain. I thought this was going to be a little bit darker, but it's a light gray. So excuse me, I'm going to go for a dark brown or black. So that's all I'm going to do, and I'm going to get that done. All I'm going to do, like I said, is I'm going to dip this into my stain, wipe it on, kind of wipe it off. Then I'm going to flip this, do the other side, get the whole thing stained, let it dry for a while, and then we'll come back and do painting. I'll see you in a bit. I just want to show you what you do when you stain is you want to actually put kind of a layer of stain. It does not need to be dripping or standing water type of thing in any way, but you do definitely want to put it on thick because you want it covering everything. So that's what I'm doing first, and that was my phone in the background. I forgot to turn it off. Anyway, so here we go. Just for the sake of the video, I'm going to do this quickly. I'm actually going to put a little more on and let it sit for about 5 minutes. And then I'm just going to kind of wipe off the excess. Can you see how a little bit of it is coming off? That's what I'm going to do. So anyway, I'm going to flip my box, do the whole thing. I ended up going with a Rust-Oleum dark walnut, and this is more the color that I was wanting because when I sand off my white paint, I want a little bit of a dark undertone. I'll see you in a little bit. Okay, now my stain is completely dry, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to chalk paint over the top of this. I like Rust-Oleum in linen white. I use it a lot. And I also like to use a foam brush. And this is just very easy. You're basically just going to put a thick coat of chalk paint on this and let it dry. And I'm going to go ahead and finish this. You go ahead and work on yours, and we'll meet when our paint is dry. Okay guys, now we have our box fully painted. It's dried. So now we're going to sand it again. And this is to kind of distress it. And basically, this is another box that I've made. And you can see in here that you can see down to some of the the stain, I'm sorry. And then even down a little bit to the original box. I like that look because it makes it look old. One thing I want to tell you about sanding, I'm going to use my orbital sander to start with, but I'm going to go slow because sanding is one of those things that once you've gone too far, it's very hard to turn around. So go slow, and once you start getting a look you like, I suggest that you stop and maybe use either a piece of sandpaper or a sanding block. And that way, you don't go to a point where you have to repaint or restain. So after that, what we're going to do is we're going to add the decorative poles. I'm going to use these black ones on mine, and basically I'm not necessarily going to show you how to do this. You just need to get out your cordless screwdriver, and just you can either eyeball it. I like to measure, and you're just going to screw those into the end, and then we're done. Okay, have a great day, friends, and I really hope that you enjoyed this project.